I burped.
Nice. Welcome back to Book Till Friday podcast. I'm Andres.
I'm Edward.
And yeah, make sure to remember, if you're watching this on Spotify,
I'm
give
here in
it-
my underwear.
Exactly. Give it a rating. And on Spotify, when you rate it, it'll share with other people that like it as well. Suggest it to other people and get the algorithm going. And on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, drop a comment on anything you guys want to know. And yeah, let's get
it going.
Elon Musk's jet censorship.
I thought we were gonna say Elon Musk's daddy.
Elon Musk is not daddy.
No, on Twitter, a lot of people are calling him daddy because now he's just like kind of changing the rules on everything. Anyways, we'll touch on that later. Segue
Yeah.
into that later. What were you gonna say?
Elon jet. So, Elon, as we've talked about this, the bastion of free speech, right?
Yes, definitely the arbiter of legal free speech. I'm sorry, because he did say the only things that we're gonna get taken off of Twitter, like banned, are things that are explicitly illegal.
Yeah. But the account Elon Jet, which tracked his private jet, to see where he was going, it was suspended from Twitter earlier this week. The week of the 17th. It was earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
So he said it was, quote, "They are doxing me." Even though it is publicly available information that it's needed, because you want like flight paths and stuff like that, they're all publicly available information for like safety, for tracking, for all this kind of stuff, right? And again, nobody was going like, "Hey, let's go find him at his airport and like attack him or whatever," right?
Yeah.
Nobody was doing that.
He supposedly, his excuse, he supposedly got attacked 90 miles from the airport, and he blames that flight tracker on that.
Yeah.
90 miles. Do you know how big 90 miles is?
Yeah. It's almost 100 miles, I think.
Yes, almost
if my
100.
math is correct.
The maths do be mathing in that way.
Exactly.
90 miles.
And this man basically said, so he's like, he got doxxed supposedly, right? And it's funny because, again, let's just name this episode Elon's hypocrisy, right? With a big ass, like,
with a big ass
red
penis
banner
on
of
his
him
head.
being like, right? So Elon's hypocrisy is because he said, "I'm for free speech unless you're explicitly getting hurt," like you said earlier. And he even said, even that guy who's tracking my jet will not be banned.
Yeah.
So he gets banned after, this BS, right? And sort of adjacent to that is, I don't know if you saw.
But no, neo-Nazis are fine to get unbanned. They're fine.
Yes.
They're fine on the platform.
Yes. So the whereabouts of Elon Musk's private jet are based on public data that Musk banned from Twitter this week. The flight data for the aircraft from Musk's shiny multi-million-dollar Gulfstream jet to commercial planes has long been public. When he acquired Twitter for $44 billion in October, he said that disclosing the location of his jet amounts to doxing, a form of online harassment that involves the sharing of personal information in a way that could spur harm. So first he suspended the Elon Jet account, right, on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, he suspended the accounts of several reporters who'd been writing stories or tweeting about the episode.
Yeah.
Some of these were restored early Saturday, but he said same doxing rules apply to journalists in quotes. He puts journalists in quotes even though they're literally just reporting on what happened. All they did was state facts.
It gets worse. Most of those journalists didn't get unbanned. One of the ones in particular, like one of the head people that were like at the forefront of this that got banned first was Matt Bender. And now he's on Mastodon or whatever the fuck. No one cares about Mastodon. How do you call it? But he was so clean cut that he didn't even get like any sort of strike or anything before that, and that's with a bunch of trolls like dogpiling reports on him. Like Twitter before had like specifically messaged him like, "Hey, you're getting a lot of reports from a lot of people. We wanted to check out your account, but there's nothing we can act on." Like that's how clean cut he was. Not even coming close to like TOC anything like that.
Yeah.
And he didn't even post anything about the Elon jet. He posted a link to an article that had a link to another article that was talking about Elon, that had a link to like Elon Jet's account. Literally like 5 degrees of separation from like the thing. And that was a TLC service violation, according to Elon. He said that he was also getting doxxed by Matt Bender.
Stupid.
It's literally the dumbest shit that's been like going on.
Yeah.
And like, and And when Matt Bender like talked to him, because like apparently like if you're banned, you can still get on Twitter Spaces because Twitter Spaces was using infrastructure from an older version of Twitter. So as long as you had an account that predates like the one of the updates, you were able to get onto the Spaces. And so they were having a Spaces with a bunch of the journalists, especially a lot of the banned journalists, and Elon Musk went on there. Elon Jet was on there. You know, they were all on there, and a lot of these journalists were asking Elon like, "Hey, what did we violate? Blah 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 blah." You know, et cetera, et cetera. And Elon basically just quit. He just like rage quit, like this fucking league or some shit.
Yeah.
And just like, hey, he was literally that one meme with the dude just goes,
Yeah.
vanishes out into like the hedges or whatever.
Yeah. So Elon rage quitting a Twitter space, right? I'll go ahead and put that in right here.
Yeah, just transition.
We're gonna watch it.
Well, as I'm sure everyone who's been doxxed would agree, showing real-time information about somebody's location is inappropriate, and I think everyone on this call would not like that to be done to them. And there's not going to be any distinction in the future between journalists, so-called journalists, and regular people. Everyone's going to be treated the same.
So-called journalists.
So-called journalists, yeah, because he wants to actively discredit anyone that goes against him. Like,
Of course.
don't forget.
That's the fascist playbook.
The fascist playbook. Don't forget, the reason why Kanye got banned wasn't because he was a Nazi. It was because he posted that unflattering picture of Elon. Never forget that. Don't forget that.
And regular people. Everyone's going to be treated the same. You're not special because you're a journalist. You're a Twitter. You're a citizen. No special treatment. You dox, you get suspended. End of story. Ban evasion, or trying to be clever about it. Like, oh, I posted a link to the real-time information is obviously simply trying to evade the meaning. There's no different than actually showing real-time information.
So when you're saying posting a link to it, I mean, some of the people like Drew and Ryan Mack from the New York Times who were banned were they were reporting on it in the course of sort of pretty normal journalistic endeavors. You consider that like a tricky attempt at ban evasion?
You show the link to the real-time information, ban evasion, obviously.
Drew, I don't think you were posting the real-time information, right?
I mean, you're suggesting that we're sharing your address, which is not true. And you're suggesting that we're posting. We never. I never posted your address.
You posted a link to the address.
We posted a link. In the course of reporting about Elon Jet, we posted links to Elon Jet, which are now not online and now banned on Twitter. And Twitter also, of course, marks even the Instagram and Mastodon accounts of Elon Jet as harmful. Using, we have to acknowledge, using the same exact link blocking technique that you have criticized as part of the Hunter Biden New York Post story in 2020. So what is different here and there?
No more acceptable for me. It's no more acceptable for me, for you, than it is for me. Same thing. So anyway.
So it's unacceptable what you're doing?
He rage quit.
What you dox, you get suspended. End of story. That's it.
Elon,
Yeah. Like, and here's the thing. Here's where the hypocrisy gets even worse. So the reason I have Keffels on is because very recently, like right here, like looking at the story that she covered here, she was also doxxed recently. Every like 5 minutes, her her current address was getting posted to Twitter, and Elon did nothing. And this was a huge thing. It got reported on in fucking MSNBC, I think, and CNN and shit. And like she was followed everywhere. She had to leave the country that she was in to go to like a different one in order to avoid the doxing. And even there it happened. And it got so bad she got swatted multiple times. She got a gun pointed at her face by the SWAT team and was taken out and arrested. Dead named on like the files over there. Because obviously she's trans, so she gets a lot of hate, especially since she's so big. and like just consistently getting doxxed for a whole long time by Kiwi Farms. Kiwi Farms was generating like this whole thing where like they kept constantly doxing her. They found out where she was through like a bed sheet. She posted like a video at a hotel, and like she like basically posted a picture of her cats, you know, like, hey fans, I'm okay, you know, at the end of the day they didn't get me, blah blah blah. And then like less than a couple of hours, like Kiwi Farms found like cross-referenced the bed sheets of that hotel to like and found out the location of the hotel, and they like went and they found her and they took pictures outside of like her hotel. It was like this insane like whole thing.
But that's doxing. That's real doxing.
Actual doxing,
Yes.
like swatting, doxing, and Elon like nothing.
Nope.
And this was while Elon had control over Twitter. Like nothing, completely silent. Another thing, libs of TikTok, this fucking piece of shit human being, like actively the worst possible thing. Like this motherfucker sent bomb threats to hospitals because they were they allowed for trans services, like they had trans healthcare in them, and sent bomb threats. Matt Walsh did the same thing, bomb threats to hospitals for providing trans healthcare, and both of them actively dox other trans people. They post like the schools of where trans people go. They post you know, their
All
work
their
addresses,
personal information,
all their
yeah.
personal information, their phone numbers, everything. Libs of TikTok is still on Twitter. Nothing like
Of course,
actual
because
doxing.
it's making fun of the libs. It's
Yeah,
owning
yeah.
doxing to own the libs is different from showing real-time information of your private jet that's wasting and super harmful to the environment. And it's funny too because people go, "Hey, what about those 10 flights to Epstein Island?
They
Tell us
also got
about
banned.
that." Yeah, so that stuff got banned, right? But
Yeah.
for the spaces, right? The host said, "Sorry, it appears the space cut out. Screen went suddenly blank on my end, and everyone got booted." Huh. Appears the recording of this space is strangely not available. Funny that. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. Let's do it again sometime.
And that's why it was great, because Keffels
Abuse
was
of
on that
power.
stream. Keffels was in that space, and she was streaming the entire thing. So we still have a recording of it.
Yeah.
We still have a recording of it.
Of course, we have a recording of it because who's not going to record him being a fucking man-child, right?
TBH.
Twitter suspended the accounts of several prominent reporters who cover Elon Musk, including Ryan Mack of the New York Times, CNN's Donnie O'Sullivan, The Washington Post's Drew Harwell, The Intercept's Michael Lee, and Mashable's Matt Binder, Aaron Rupert, and Tony Webster. This evening, Musk logged into a Twitter space to try to explain why and ran a poll asking when the journalist should be unbanned. In both instances, things didn't go his way. The reporters who've been banned all seem to have recently tweeted about Musk's attempts to crack down on the sharing of the whereabouts of his private jet. Apparently, though, accounts that can't post can still join a Twitter Spaces live audio chat, like you were saying. In that conversation, Musk accused the journalists of ban evasion. Once the Elon Jet account had been banned from Twitter, its owner set up accounts on Facebook and Mastodon. By posting links to those accounts, he argued the journalists were trying to get around his ban. The Washington Post's Harwell asked Musk how Musk's decision to ban accounts sharing the other Elon Jet sites, as well as journalists reporting on that incident, was different from Twitter's earlier treatment of a New York Post story about a laptop containing Hunter Biden's personal information. In 2020, Twitter made a moderation decision to block links to the New York Post story. Details on that moderation decision were released on Twitter earlier this month with Musk's support. In April, he tweeted that suspending the New York Post's account because of the story was obviously incredibly inappropriate. Musk even teased the release of the information by saying, "This will be awesome," and tweeting popcorn emoji. In the course of the release, Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey's email was revealed.
Yeah.
Doxing. Musk replied to Harwell by saying, "You dox, you get suspended. End of story. That's it." He then left the space. That was the last thing he
Yeah.
basically said before, you know, the
Rage quit.
Yeah, as he rage quit. And it's funny because there was a longer video too where he's finishes asking the question to him, and they're like, "Oh, I think Elon left."
Yeah.
I think Elon left.
That's the one I saw
yeah.
through Keffel stream.
Because he fucking rage quit because he's a big fucking diaper baby, basically.
Literally like pooped his pants and like left.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen 14-year-olds with more integrity on fucking Smite, like
straight up, dude.
and I've gotten death threats over Smite over playing bad on Smite.
Exactly.
Like, come on.
So accounts like Elon Jet and the similarly suspended Celeb Jet and Russian oligarch jets are frequently used by climate activists to highlight the egregious effect private jets have on the environment. which makes sense, right?
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. It's like if you're using a private jet, that's a ton of carbon emissions, but I got to get there fast, whatever, right?
Not just that, but like especially when your brand is like, hey, I'm the environmental guy. My company helps reduce carbon emissions because of Tesla. Like, that's something. Like we all know, like Taylor Swift, for example, burns like 13 gigatons of billions of trillions of like
private
gas.
jet.
With her private jet. Like we know, and it's bad. But it's definitely not as bad as claiming you're like an environmentalist for like transitioning everyone away from cars and then going and burning like the same amount, basically.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. And again, we already know that environmentalism isn't what's actually on his mind because of the way that he played the fucking rail system
Oh,
in
yeah,
California.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
we've already covered that.
Literally wasted billions of dollars.
Yeah, and he is
like,
not worried at all
No,
about it.
he does not give a shit.
Does not give a
'cause to be
fuck.
fair, why do you think he's trying so hard to get to Mars? Like he wants to take him and his slaves to Mars. That way,
Start
when the Earth
charging them
burns-
oxygen,
Yeah,
etc.
like,
On Wednesday, Musk implied in a tweet that the account had been used by a crazy stalker to find and climb on the hood of a car carrying one of his children.
Yeah.
It is still unclear how the location of the jet led to a car.
Yeah.
He then tweeted a video of the alleged stalker and his license plate with the caption, "Anyone recognize this person or car?"
Again, we don't know if this is a stalker. We don't
So,
know yet.
we-
Just
yeah.
a random person's.
Random person, right? And
Random
so
person's
he
license
just
plate.
doxed this guy, right?
Yeah.
But again, maybe the guy was being stupid, and he then said, "I'm going to go and file a police report about this." He never did.
Never did.
The journalist that said that there was no evidence of him tweeting of him.
Filing a police report.
Yeah, they tweeted out that there was no evidence of him filing out a police report, and then they got banned from Twitter.
Yeah.
So, he ran this poll asking when he should unsuspend the journalist
That shit is
who
so
tweeted
funny.
about Elon. Now won with 43% of the vote. Longer was a runner-up with 38.1%. So first he was saying, unsuspend accounts who doxed my exact location in real time, now or in 7 days. Now won with over 50% of the vote, right? And then he said, unsuspend accounts who doxed my exact location in real time, now, tomorrow, 7 days from now, longer. And then, of course, now won with 43%, longer was 38, 7 days from now, 14, tomorrow, 4.5. Elon said, sorry, too many options. We'll redo poll.
That was so hilarious. He ran a second one already. That one's over now.
No, yeah, that's why it was two of them. that was the two. Either now or in 7 days, or the one with now.
And now
blah,
one again in the second time as well.
Yep.
With like I think if I remember correctly, it was something like 20% more votes than later.
Mm-hmm.
So
Let me
good.
double check where he said now.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even fucking find it because he tweets
Right
so much. There it is. Now,
15%.
58.7%. In 7 days, 41.3%. People keep going, so,
Yeah.
hello?
Soon? Hello?
Yeah, suspend American journalists. Preach free speech? So, yeah, like, he literally still has it. You can't vote anymore on it, of course, because he closed it. But it's, yeah, he's been taking L after L.
Yeah, nothing
And
but L's.
Previously, he said he unbanned Trump as well as other previously suspended accounts based on poll results. He literally tweeted out Vox Populi Vox Dei, which is like the
Yeah.
voice of the people is the voice of God or whatever bullshit that he was saying, right?
Fucking
Pseudo intellectual.
Yeah, literally pseudo intellectual.
Pseudo-intellectual, like, I'm speaking ancient Greece or fucking whatever.
He's got 14-year-old brain. This dude,
Ancient
you want to know what
Greece.
this motherfucker said? This motherfucker said, "Oh, I tried chess, but it's really a primitive type of game. It doesn't even have a tech tree. Like
That-
literally, like I
fucking-
feel like I've said that when I
I'm
was
14 and this
Like,
is deep.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm too intelligent for chess.
Yeah, I'm too smart for chess. Like, okay, buddy, sure, pal.
I've not received any communication from Twitter whatsoever other than a notice at the top of my feed that I am permanently banned and in read-only mode, said one of the reporters who was suspended in an email to The Verge. I have no idea what could have prompted this. He posted a tweet noting that the Elon Jet account that was suspended from Twitter was still active on Facebook with a link to the Facebook page, which is, okay. Oh, it's ban evasion. No, he's
Yeah.
saying this. It's actually still active here.
Yeah.
Because he's reporting on it. He's stating facts, right?
Yeah, like this is the degree of like censorship that I feel like crosses the line. Like, yes, if you violate a type of TOS, and like Matt Bender was like on Keffel's stream basically saying like yeah, it's his website, he can choose to do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to his rules, his play, whatever, and that it's fine. He just has to deal with the consequences of doing this, which makes me feel like 2023 is going to be the death of Twitter. Put that up on the bingo card. Like,
we got bingo
death of
cards
Twitter.
for next week.
Next stream.
Not for next stream.
Next stream.
Yeah, next week. Our
Next week.
Christmas special will be bingo cards.
Bingo cards, yeah.
The
But-
day after Christmas special.
Yeah. But you get my point, right? Like this is all going to like, and like considering how close he is with like neo-Nazis and shit, I'm pretty sure the next CEO of Twitter, once he hands it off, because he's probably going to give up before Twitter dies, but Twitter's still going to die, and the person he hands it off to is just going to be a neo-Nazi. It's going to be some sort of like fucking so many neo-Nazis got unbanned. I can't remember them all. Andy Knox or some shit like that. What was his name? I don't know. He got off and he has really close time. Like he like tagged Elon Musk on like a trans person's account, and like that person got banned. It's like,
Bruh.
He's literally at the beck and call of neo-Nazis. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, he's basically serving as another arm, as an arm of fascism, basically. The fact that the richest man, previously, the richest man in the world can have that much influence to buy one of the biggest social medias and then immediately run into the ground is insane, right?
Like, yeah, just think about what, Twitter without anyone except neo-Nazis is Truth Social. And we know how good that's going.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not going great. But... like, in addition to that, I mean, isn't this just a symptom of like the broader thing? Like, how many left-wing media outlets are there really in society?
See, reality has a left-leaning bias.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. And
when people go like, you know what? I don't think people should be murdered based on the color of their skin. They're like, oh, so you're saying like this? And it's like, no. I'm just saying I don't think people should get murdered based on their sexual orientation and gender orientation. They're like, oh, so you want them to fuck kids? It's like, that's not at all
what
I said.
pedophiles.
Exactly. That's not at all what I said.
No, but like, because like, think about it. The largest media outlet right now in the world is Fox News. Clearly
the
right-wing
conglomerate.
Yeah,
Yes.
the conglomerate. Clearly a right-wing thing. You're seeing it right now with CNN. They recently had a shift change. Remember the whole conspiracy theory I was talking about how like, oh, now that Warner Brothers and fucking the other one merged together. Oh, Discovery Warner.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden they have a right-wing CEO or whatever the fuck, and now all of a sudden CNN is putting out progressively more centrist, more right-wing talking points onto the thing. Like when they were covering the railroad strike, they're basically framing it in a way that was like putting the blame on
workers are hurting the economy.
Yeah, the workers are hurting the economy. You know,
And-
the workers don't care that you're gonna suffer increased prices over over the things.
And it's
well,
like-
then maybe the fucking company should pay them more. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. We did talk about that, right?
We
To be fair,
talked
we
about
did.
that. Yeah.
How it's like,
but I feel like this is a symptom of that.
Yes.
Like as as left wing ideas get more popular in the populace and like with
as
people.
human empathy
Yeah.
gets more popular in politics, you mean?
As human empathy grows stronger, you
Yes.
know.
As people realize, hey, we actually are all in this together. Not
Yeah.
that fucking bullshit where they're like, imagine all the people. And the cringiest fucking garbage
Yeah,
that
like,
celebrities in their
Let
multi-million
that
dollar
sink
mansions.
in. Let that sink in. Like Elon Musk carries the sink.
Yeah.
Like,
Dumb shit.
Yeah, as long as human
Theatrics.
empathy grows up, theatrics. Industries, which all industries, they inherently rely on capital to function. The journalist industry is no different, and it's harder to get capital when you have human empathy for various reasons. I think Second Thought did a really great video on this recently, and so as a result, they'll turn more and more right wing as more politics becomes about human empathy, because it's harder to make capital, make money off of human empathy than it is to farm outrage and stuff like that. So they'll become more and more right wing. And I think Twitter right now is just a symptom of that. It's a particularly big spectacle version of it, but I mean, this is happening all across the media landscape. Like right now, the closest thing we have to like a left wing outlet is MSNBC, and even that's only like really
And
center.
I was gonna say, and I guess CNN as well, because they do have like,
All the major
they're
left wing
in-
people on there got fired or left.
on CNN.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. Where like the CEO came and took over, and they started turning to a more like Fox News. They're taking away market from Fox News now. They're in that same demographic now.
Well, shit's fucked.
Yeah, shit's fucked.
But basically the full thing on the Elon jet, right? The Twitter account created in June 2020 had been targeted by Musk beginning in 2021. He offered to pay Jack Sweeney, the creator of it, $5,000. Sweeney countered, requesting $50,000 or an internship in one of Musk's companies, and offered advice on restricting flight tracking data. Musk blocked Sweeney in January of 2021. In late 22, after Musk purchased Twitter, he announced he would not ban the Elon jet account. The account was restricted in December and then blocked, along with Sweeney's personal and other flight tracking accounts, as part of what was dubbed the Thursday Night Massacre.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. These all have their little things.
Yeah,
So
it's a whole...
So the December 15th, 2022 Twitter suspensions. 2 days ago. 2 days ago as of this recording. Like this is fresh, right?
Yeah, it's
fresh.
It's new.
9 journalists who covered the social media company and its owner were all suspended without warning. So, obviously, he's the owner. It's a private company, can do what they want, right?
Yeah.
But the fact is,
Like
the
Matt
fact
Bender was
remains.
saying.
Yeah, the fact remains. The fact remains, he is still a huge hypocrite, and the reasons for the bans are very flimsy. Like they don't make sense.
Flimsy. It's a particularly bad case. Like if a country were to do this with its laws, we'd call it a regressive regime, because these rules didn't exist when the infractions happened.
Exactly.
It's a post hoc justification for banning them. They created these rules specifically to ban these specific people, and well, that's literally just fascism.
Yeah.
Like, you know what's funny though? On Twitter, I had someone arguing with me about oh, why is everything called fascism now? Now it's just a buzzword, and they were basically talking about how police states and shit. Like that was the original thing. And they were like, oh, and the dude was basically saying, yeah, police states are inherently fascist, blah 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 blah. And someone was commenting why is everything fascist now? It's just a talking point. It doesn't mean anything anymore. And I'm like,
no, it's because fascism.
Are you missing brain cells?
Yeah, fascism can be very well defined in the actions of people and their intentions and stuff, right?
And he was like, police and capital have nothing to do with fascism. And I'm like, on paper, maybe not. But in practice, how else are you going to maintain a fascist state without police and without capital?
Yeah.
You can't. It's in the wise words of, I forgot who, but one of my friends. You have 2 brain cells. They're fighting for third place.
Yeah.
I
said that last time.
Oh, you said that. Perfect. There we go.
Yeah. So, Elon jet, right? So the 14th, right? Basically the precursor to this. He announced that Twitter would be taking legal action against Sweeney. He alleged the tweet and the crazy stalker had followed a car carrying his 2-year-old son, right? So we talked about that. But it's so funny that he's over here give all of a sudden giving a shit about his kids when he did not give a fuck about any of them. And so someone pointed this out. They said, why are you referring to people as pronouns? There's so many different pronouns. Haha, that's so crazy. And yet he named
Fauci.
No. And yet he named his child XAZ.
I don't know, a serial number. It was some fucking computer serial number.
He gave his child a computer serial number, and he's complaining about people's pronouns. And he's like, yeah, my pronouns are prosecute Fauci, right?
Yeah.
Which is absolutely batshit fucking insane. This late into the fucking pandemic, right? So Vice News reported the moves were part of Musk's most confusing and publicly volatile series of events yet, considering it disturbing to ban accounts that he promised he would remain active, creating rules to justify retroactive punishment, and threatening legal action against a 20-year-old. Retroactive punishment is actually still illegal in the U.S. too, because you can't be like, well, we're going to prosecute you on a crime even though it wasn't technically a crime.
That's what I said. It's in
it's not even legal.
It's not legal. We would never allow this in a law, to retroactively oh, I didn't like that you wore that shirt, so I'm gonna make that illegal tomorrow and then prosecute yesterday.
Tesla, as of closing the market yesterday and Friday the 16th. Has lost 15% in the past 5 days, right? There's a huge... It's funny because there was a bit of an uptick on Tuesday, and then it all started going fucking down. A little bit of an uptick again, all downhill, right? Down 15% in the past 5 days.
A lot of the board members have been spreading rumors that we're gonna oust Elon as the the CEO or whatever.
And you want to know why?
Why?
Because Tesla is down 62% year to date. 62%.
62%. God damn.
That's significant. It's down $249. That's so much fucking money.
Did we ever cover like the leaks that Elon did supposedly, the behind the scenes like, oh yes, this is this is like a whole thing basically, like with Hunter Biden's laptop and like all that stuff?
No, but because it's not worth covering, because it's just a bunch of BS where he's like, look at these files, look at these files, look at these files.
It's literally nothing.
It's nothing.
It's worse than that,
because it's a bowl of nothing.
Because it's the general hypocrisy of his group. Because how do you call it? Most of those accounts for what they did, because like it was like, one of the things was like basically on Libs of TikTok specifically was basically like, don't do anything to this account without first contacting blah 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 blah. And that group that it was specifying was essentially like the head honchos of Twitter. It was like the CEO, the head of the legal team, and like the head of safety or whatever the fuck. And so basically they were giving like special treatment to conservatives so that they wouldn't get banned when they otherwise would. And like Elon was basically saying like, oh, you see, this is the left, they're unjustly shadow banning people, but like, if there were anyone else, they would have gone just straight up banned. Yeah. Not just shadow banned. Like it's like his hypocrisy goes way, 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 way deep. Like with like the double standards he has for everything, and like it's just like a symptom of everything. So
Tesla's third largest shareholder calls for the oust of Elon Musk as CEO. Elon abandoned Tesla, and Tesla has no working CEO, said Koguan Leo, who owns $3.4 billion worth of Tesla shares. Imagine that. Imagine seeing a fucking company that you actually invested in and cared about being run by an egomaniac fucking borderline psychopath, basically, at this point. Egomaniac psychopath. Having a public mental breakdown. Not quite on the level of Kanye yet. But he's getting there. Yeah, like honestly, if he hadn't banned Kanye, Kanye would have kept posting swastikas, and he would have been like, "That's fine, right? I'm cool with Kanye." But
like, if he hadn't posted that one picture of him, like Kanye would have just kept on doing his thing. Like
Koguan Leo, an Indonesian billionaire and the third largest individual shareholder of Tesla, is calling for the electric car maker CEO Musk to step down, as much of his attention is focused on Twitter lately, and not even on improving Twitter. It's on improving Twitter, so breaking the infrastructure, banning people he doesn't like, seeing all the comedians get banned also because they abused the blue check mark, which everyone knew was going to happen.
Of course.
The abuse of the blue check mark, right? So Leo proposed Tesla's board of directors appoint a professional manager, someone similar to Apple CEO's Tim Cook, as Musk's replacement. Tesla is 19 years old, ranked 4th with 2.4% allocation in the S&P. Elon was the proud father. Tesla has grown up. An executioner, Tim Cook-like, is needed, not Elon. It's also funny.
Executioner?
As in, like, as you know, like he executes on things. He's task-oriented.
I know, but that's such poor phrasing. That implies that he wants to like kill the company.
He's foreign, like English is not his first language. He's not.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I was like, that's a really poor phrasing.
An executioner, as in like we're gonna execute.
Yeah, someone who gets shit done.
An action plan. An action man, basically, right?
Someone who shoots the shit and gets shit done.
Exactly. There's your translation. He needs someone to get shit done.
Yeah.
And it's funny that he says Elon was the proud father when he was basically like a rambling stepfather that bought shit for the wife. Yeah, basically, literally. Until he started abusing them.
Yeah. Legit.
Because actually no, it's as if he Stockholm syndromed them, because remember how he sued them to
he gaslit gatekept and girl bossed too hard.
Exactly. So he basically abused the person to then allow them to get married, because that's what he did. He sued the founders to be listed as a co-founder.
I was gonna ask, was it with Twitter or with PayPal that he had to retroactively instill himself as a founder? Like he wasn't a founder, but he sued as part of the payment agreement.
That's Tesla.
Yeah.
That's why everyone's like, oh, but he is Tesla. No, he was not Tesla. He never was.
No, he never was. He honestly, he never really did anything with Tesla. He was mostly just a hype man for it.
Yeah, it's like
All of this shit was done by everyone else. Like if you like look into like
Influencer.
He was an
He was
influencer.
Tesla's
he was a social
influencer.
media influencer. That's
Yeah.
the best thing I can give.
And he
Elon.
doesn't really have any
No.
good ideas, so etc. Right? Sweeney stated that despite the legal threats, he does not plan to stop monitoring Musk's airplane travel and will continue to publish the flight tracking information by using other social media platforms, including on his new Mastodon account. On the 15th, Twitter suspended the accounts of 8 journalists. So yeah, we saw that part, right? Musk falsely claimed that reporters had doxed him and his family, and alleged that by covering the Elon jet story, they were linking to real-time flight information, which is basically, quote, basically assassination coordinates, according to
How?
Musk. A characterization that was widely ridiculed. And he was trying to go after Wikipedia too, but fucking Wikipedia is never going to let you. You try and
I was
edit
gonna
something
say that, yeah,
nowadays,
like-
there's like 300,000 people going, oh, no, that's actually
Nope, that's
incorrect.
incorrect. That's
You
incorrect.
missed
That's
you
incorrect.
missed right there. It was actually Jennifer Lawrence that farted on the set, and it wasn't actually Jennifer O'Connelly. And then
Yeah.
fucking to real-time
Fucking,
information.
I think the Blaze tried to put itself as a left-wing media outlet on there, and it immediately got corrected to right-wing. Like you're not gonna get away with like posting fake shit on Wikipedia. Like your talking points do nothing here.
And the cherry on this Elon Musk fucking burning shit pile Sunday is that because of his actions, it's a Streisand effect. It is now magnified and blossomed into its own subreddit.
Literally, no one would have like the layoffs. Remember the layoffs and how he did them? Literally, if he didn't make a big deal about it and did it how every other company does it,
Yep.
no one would have cared.
Nobody
But
would
now,
give a
because of like the big stink he made about it, like, oh yes, be prepared to be wage slaves, like blah 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 blah.
You got to be working 80 hours a week and
Yeah.
all this dumb shit.
Yeah, and like without pay, blah 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 blah. And like now, like that Streisand effect, exactly. Like now, because he made such a big stink about it, everyone knows.
Yep.
Everyone knows. He's literally reaping. He's getting what he asked for. I remember someone putting it that way. Whether he knew he was asking for it or not, he's getting what he asked for.
And it's funny because this is so reminiscent of what happened in Andor, right? I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet, and
It's
I'm
pretty good.
dying to see it.
It's pretty good. So they say the Empire, like the whole theme, right? Like this is not even spoilers. Obviously, it's just the theme of Andor is like the Empire has been slowly strangling us for so long that we don't even realize it, right? So that's why when you incite a violence against the Empire and they bring down the fist, then everyone can understand oppression.
Yeah.
Everyone goes, oh, wait a minute, they've been doing this the whole time. Or like, when the Empire is mad and it strikes back really hard, that's when you incite
That's when
rebellion
you
even
realize.
further.
Yeah.
Even further.
That's why it's so important that like there's like great like amazing like souls humans that like are willing to take that first strike, like people who are willing to incite the violence against like government and stuff and get like really harsh action thrown back at them, because like
Yes.
like look at the Capitol riots, like or like
The insurrection?
the insurrection. Like
not
a
a riot.
normal government, a normal quote unquote, won't really fight back that hard. They'll prosecute you, you'll get in trouble for your shit. But like a fascist government will actively like send death squads out at you, and you can kind of see like lingering effects of like how our current like government is still fascist because of the BLM riots, like where they like actively like went up and like we had whole ass lockdowns with like military parades coming down the street.
Yeah.
Like,
there were like, there's a curfew.
Yeah, there's a curfew
January
now.
6th, not
Nothing.
even fucking, it's whatever.
Like we're like at a 50-50 split so far, and like it's getting worse now, but but a fascist government, any hint of an uprising and like instant death. And that's why like I mean they're essentially martyrs. The first people that always like like in Andor,
Yep.
they're essentially martyrs. They will effectively just die. They will end up being sacrifices, but they'll incite like a greater rebellion because knowing the fist of oppression will incentivize them.
And I mean, again, he literally fucking fell for the fascist playbook where they're like, you're a fascist. No, I'm fucking not. You're banned. And it's like, see, now we know for a fact you're even more like, it's just you've just reinforced the fact that you're a fascist.
Yeah.
And then it just blows up more in his face. So we've got a huge
Like people
subreddit
who
now.
aren't actually fascists won't care if you call them a fascist.
Yep.
Like
Or also, if you like, let's say they wouldn't even be called a fascist if things are just like slowly changing. Again,
yeah.
you don't realize you're being
yeah.
strangled, or like it's a slow boil.
Slow boil.
The frog isn't gonna realize it's been boiled until it's fucking dead because of the slow boil. If you throw it into a boiling pot, it realizes immediately.
Yeah. The intense temperature change will
Yep.
cause it to jump out.
Speaking about
What's
fascist
funny? Oh, I was gonna
governments.
say one last thing on the Elon.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what's funny? You know what? Like his like descent kind of triggered like what's speculated on. He has a trans daughter, and she like broke off connection with him, and that's
Yeah,
when
she
he started
fucking
his
hates
whole.
him.
Yeah, she fucking hates him, and that's when he started his whole like tirade against trans people. and stuff.
Speaking about
So-
trans people, Texas registry of trans people in the state.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Fuck, dude. So Texas, like I didn't know about the first part until our Mr. X, our Michael, told us, where like basically they eliminated the registry for sex offenders. But I did know previously that they essentially forcibly created a registry of all trans people within the state. They now that the governor has access to a list of every individual that's how do you call it? That's trans. And in my opinion, what they're trying to do is what, you know, the right wing has been trying to do for a long time, which is essentially equate trans people to sex offenders. They're trying to get it instilled in your head that the very act of being trans is essentially being a pedophile. That there is no distinction between these two people. You know, and they, of course, they'll never overtly say it. They'll just be like, oh, this is a sex offender. Oh, look, here's a trans person side by side. You make the connection, you know? Like that whole piece of shit, everything. And, you know, and they'll just try to get you to make the connection. But the state of Texas is basically trying to, like, codify this into law essentially by removing the in my opinion by removing the sex offender list and replacing it with the registry of trans people. But you know, obviously not every trans person is a sex offender. I would go so far as to say that almost 99% of them are not. You know, from personal experience, I can assure you I am not one. How do you call it? And well, you know, it just never goes good when you make a registry of people that haven't committed any sort of crime aside from existing. You know, it just in the history of America, like here's the thing: modern day genocides aren't really made by like a gun and stuff. Like they're not made by like rounding people up with guns and shit. It's more a genocide of bureaucracy than anything. Like. Just like this goes way back. Like one of the major Native American genocides was done basically through bureaucracy. Like, oh yes, at this time,
Systematic, yeah.
Systematic. The Holocaust was a systematic bureaucratic genocide.
Yep.
You know, I don't know too much about the Armenian genocide, but considering it's a modern genocide,
Yeah.
that
Really
too was
recent.
a genocide of how do you call it? Of bureaucracy. The Japanese internment camps, again, also genocide of bureaucracy. Modern day genocides aren't done with overt and strict violence. It's all pencil pushers. It's all like, oh, you got to meet this quota. You got to.
They're like, oh, just come in here. You'll be in the camps there. We're just going to hold you here prisoners. Okay. And then, oh, just put you on a train. Don't worry.
Yeah,
We're just
don't worry about it.
relocating you.
Yeah.
And then they just start fucking
oh, there's
shipping
not
them.
enough space. We have to kill some of you.
Exact. Or they just, I mean, just the malnourishment. And
Yeah,
stuff,
just the malnourishment. You know, like, oh, a quarter of you died. Well, you know, now there's more space to put more people in here. Oh,
But-
you don't. You're at capacity. We'll put more in there. It's fine. Some of you will eventually die.
But was it really 6 million though? I feel like the numbers have been super inflated. By the way, Kanye's new album is really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Obviously, that's a joke. But
joke.
I couldn't find anything on the sex offender registry being done away with.
Oh, we'll have to ask Michael for that source.
Yeah, well,
But
we'll see.
Either way.
But I did see it. Texas creates chilling registry of 16,000 people who change genders on their driver's license. Earlier this year, the Texas Attorney General Attorney General Ken Paxton's office requested the State Department of Public Safety to compile a list of transgender residents in the state. A DPS official confirmed to the Washington Post in a Wednesday report. A spokesperson for DPS told the Post that Paxton's office made a verbal request calling for the total number of Texans who had changed the gender on their driver's license or in other government records within the past 2 years. Need total number of changes from male to female and female to male for the last 24 months, broken down by month, the chief of the DPS driver's license division said in an email to colleagues that stated June 30th. The emails, shared with a Post, specify that Paxton's office requested this information. Some of the communications are specifically titled AG request sex change data and AG data request. Paxton's office denies making any such request to the DPS, despite these internal emails and the DPS spokesperson's claims to the Post. According to Gillian Brandstetter, a communications strategist at the ACLU Women's Rights Project and LGBTQ and HIV Project, we've seen this secrecy around Texas's surveillance of trans people before. At the State Department of Family and Protective Services, employees working on gender-affirming care-related investigations were instructed to leave no paper trail. Mm-hmm. So you see why you don't want to leave paper trail for gender-affirming care, because then you're going to get these people that go, hey, like you said, they did gender-affirming care at this hospital. Let's go bomb them or whatever, right? These people are nuts. I was never interested in giving Ken Paxton the benefit of the doubt, and the fact that he has now repeatedly attempted to cover his tracks when taking grave, traumatic steps to prosecute trans people suggests any good intentions he claims are lies. And cover up.
They're objectively lies.
Yeah. So he put out together... They basically put together a request of 16,466 requests for gender changes on licenses between June 2020 and June of this year. There's still no actual reason for these requests. Some Texans requested to change it because they were trans, but others requested to change it by mistake or due to error on their original license.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the data requested neither exists nor could be accurately produced. Thus, no data of any kind was provided.
Yeah, they also don't care. Like, they don't care. They don't care if they kill. Like, it's the same way how like white supremacy inherently harms white people, or like how. Toxic masculinity or like patriarchy stuff also inherently harms men. They just don't care as long as they can like or like racism. Racism also just harms whoever is the dominant social group. Mm-hmm. They just don't care as long as the person they're actively hating gets shit on. They don't care. Like how many white people would benefit from like racism not being a thing? Hundreds of poor people. Hundreds of poor white people would benefit from racism not being a thing because they would be able to like advocate for policies that would help their poverty situation.
Not even that. Think of it this way. If you go back to the most basic things of racist policies that people don't even think of, taxes on house fucking taxes being used to fund your schools. Mm-hmm. If you're in a poor neighborhood, your school's going to be poor. You're in a rich neighborhood, your school's going to be rich. So literally, the rich get richer, the poor stay poor and stupid and underfunded.
Yeah.
And then you can go, oh, look over there. They're poor. They don't need the resources because
they're stupid.
Yeah, they're stupid.
The resources would go to waste on them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like that's the line. And this is the same thing. But like this is the same thing where it's like, yes, like people who aren't trans, people who aren't that, like who don't want to transition, people who, like they said, just mistakes, they accidentally, wrote the wrong thing down, will get caught up in this. And they don't care. Like the people that are doing this won't care. Like TERFs and like all these like transphobes, they won't care. Mm-hmm. They don't care because they don't care if they harm their own. They don't care about anyone. They just want trans people to die. That's at the end of the day. As long as they get one trans person, they don't care if they kill 100 non-trans people. They don't care.
Because they're like, we got two of them.
That's fine.
Yeah. So they go on to say, it's a relief that this data ultimately wasn't shared with Paxton's office, as Paxton and other top Republicans in the state ramp up their efforts to surveil and terrorize trans Texans. Last year, Governor Greg Abbott signed legislation to prohibit trans youth from participating in sports at schools. This year, the governor directed the state to investigate families with trans kids and health providers who offer gender-affirming care to young people for child abuse. Several families were investigated as a result, including the family of a trans teen who attempted to take their life while an investigation was underway. The Post reporting suggests that Texas is now following the lead of other anti-trans state governments and expanding the scope of its attacks beyond trans youth to target trans adults who have driver's licenses. Formerly, anti-trans lawmakers claimed they were just concerned that kids were too young to know they were trans. But earlier this month, Republican lawmakers in Oklahoma introduced a bill to ban gender-affirming care broadly, even for adults. Across the country, as of November, more than half of states have sought to restrict gender-affirming healthcare in some way.
Yeah, and like this is kind of why, like, to bring it back to a more personal note, this is kind of why I'm kind of scared to like legally change my my gender into non-binary. Because I don't trust California government. Like, it's safer here than it is in Texas, obviously, but I mean, at the state level, like, a lot of the people in office don't like. A lot of people currently in office still don't like black people, like let alone like a trans person or gay person.
They want to go after interracial marriage next at the highest level in the Supreme Court.
Levels, like. And like it's scary. Like, would I like love to have my driver's license say I'm non-binary? Yes, it would be amazing. Is there a legitimate risk of not having the chance to leave the country if anything goes bad? Yeah.
Or not even that. Imagine if you just get pulled over by some piece of shit cop and they look and they're like, oh, what the fuck is this? You know, then they just hammer on to you because they're discriminating.
Literally only one time that I've ever had an interaction with a cop was good, and only one time out of the bad was I actually at fault. Every single other interaction with a cop I've had has been explicitly negative, and in one case I suspect actively racist. Like the fucking ticket that I have to deal with right now in January. That was given to me for no other reason. I assumed then either they needed to meet a quota or I'm Hispanic. Like, there's literally no other reason why. I was literally at a red light, not speeding at all, and I turned from to a left hand, like no space to go 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Literally no space. Like, the traffic was backed up all the way to like the street. Like there's no way I could have been going 50. If I was going 50, I would have crashed into like the car in front of me. Like, there's no way for me to have been going 50.
Yeah, and it's nuts because the data as of November of 2022 is that 26 states have passed laws restricting access to healthcare for trans youth. So there's a total ban in Arkansas and Alabama. No surprise there, as they are in the bottom fucking percentile of education, which again goes back to my point. If you had actually invested in infrastructure and education for these poor states, because again, I'm not going, they're now they should all die, right? I feel sorry for them because they're so uneducated that this is a sort of thinking that they have to rely on, because this is what's being told to them from the highest
this will
of
get fed to them.
of their government, exactly, of their government, of their news. They get fed this sort of bullshit basically, and because they don't have the critical thinking skills for themselves, because their own government has failed them. If you had invested in libraries, fucking USPS, you know, because some places in the middle of fucking nowhere, they only get mail once a week, because of how far everything is from
Amazon
them, right?
Actively won't ship to these places because it's not cost effective.
Exactly.
They'll lose money on the shipping.
Yeah, because the government didn't bother to invest into infrastructure to making it easily accessible or feasible. That's why in so many of, like, as people say, backwater states or bumfuck middle of nowhere, flyover states, right? They call them that because the government hasn't actually actively invested in the infrastructure, given them fucking
and that's at the state
road
level.
signs.
The states, and like this, and it's on purpose. It's on purpose. They know that that like, you know, having these states be like rural and inaccessible and like
it'll keep
like
them
that.
voting on their property,
And
on
even
their
that doesn't
party
work
lines.
all that much because they have to like gerrymander the hell out of the state, in order to get the votes that they do get. Like
they have to keep gerrymandering more severely each year because of the internet, of the access of information. Back then,
it was very easy. Like, the
1950s.
so much more.
1950s. You could fucking murder someone, move over one town, nobody would ever know.
Yeah, dude.
Straight up.
Like the true crime thing I see. Like a lot of times, the way that they used to evade capture was literally just
go to the state.
Not even a state. A city. They literally move a city over, and then that's it. Like
change their name, and that's it.
Not in Harlem. What's the city where all the blues came out? New Orleans. In New Orleans, like there was an axe murderer, and he ran rampant in the city, and all he had to really do to evade capture was leave the city for the night.
Yeah,
like
he took a fucking bus. Imagine
he took a fucking bus
being
out,
able
and,
to kill someone. You take the metro down the fucking street, and then you're fine.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's insane in the modern era that this sort of shit could happen. Like,
it's still happening because of the failure of the lack of infrastructure. The government, though, again, like you said, it's the local state government. Because the federal government will 100% cut the fucking check.
Yeah.
As we've seen, the welfare states are the red states that take the most from the blue states, California, New York.
In general.
Yes, as a broad spectrum, right? Because, California's GDP is the 4th largest in the entire world as a fucking state. As a state, it could be its own fucking nation. The 4th largest in the world.
What's funny is that there's a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, Texas is so much better than California. But there's this dude on TikTok that has like a whole algorithm listing the things for every single state, and it's like an Excel spreadsheet that you can download. And like he goes over like where each state ranks in each position and stuff like that. And California is consistently leagues better than Texas.
Yep.
And in the few areas that it's not, both Texas and California are basically shit. Like Texas is like one above California, and it's like in things like gun deaths and like other stuff, like shit that they're both like horrendous at.
Yeah, you're gonna have higher, like, let's say, deaths and accidents and stuff like that, just because there's a higher population, right? It's statistics, basic statistics.
Basic statistics.
But
take a basic intro to statistics class.
Yeah.
Take a fucking what was it called? An
Stats.
AP class.
No,
take an AP
take
class.
fucking stats in community college. They give you free. Well, sorry. In California, you can take free community classes.
Community college,
I apologize on the behalf of your local government, on Arkansas, Alabama, all those. So in Tennessee, Arizona, Texas, and Florida, there are partial bans for healthcare for trans youth, and in the other fucking 20 states, they are trying to actively pass restrictions. New Hampshire, New Jersey, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, like so many places. Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wisconsin. A bunch of these aren't places that you usually think, hey, if I go there, they're gonna fucking hate me because I'm a trans person, right? You go to New Hampshire, do you really think that? No. New Jersey, I mean, maybe because it's Jersey,
Jersey.
But yeah, it's terrible, right? And speaking about this sort of turf stuff, J.K. Rowling will launch women-only services for victims of sexual violence in Scotland, just days before the SNP's controversial gender recognition bill is set to pass through the parliament. She's 57. She founded and funded the centre called Beara's Place. It's a brand new women-only service for helping victims of sexual violence. So she says it's very important to her because she was abused and all this kind of stuff, right? But it's feared predatory men will exploit the gender recognition reform bill to pose as females and abuse their rights. So, I mean, yeah, it's basically them saying like, the controversial gender bill is going to come out and the gender reform bill, men are going to exploit it to pose as females and abuse. It's like that's always the same fucking argument that they use when they're like, well, if we pass this, a man would just come into the girls' restroom and rape everyone. It's like, that's just a rapist. Yeah, that's not a trans person.
Yeah, that's just a rapist.
Yeah,
like, dude, it's so bad. Like they have so little data on this that they have to actively create their own. Like, the fucking recent shooting that happened, where the dude shot up a nightclub, like a gay and trans nightclub.
Yeah.
He then went on, and like everyone knew it was bullshit because he never once before this incident decided that or like said that they were like trans or thinking about it. Like none of the previous behavior even comes close to like
there's no previous indication.
Yeah, there's no previous indication. And like all of a sudden when he's in prison, he's like, oh yeah, I'm non-binary. Oh, yeah, I'm non-binary. Everyone knew it was bullshit. And the thing is that you kind of have to just not care about what they say, because you just, if they say they're non-binary, just call them non-binary, because it doesn't matter. The crime that the fact that they shot up a nightclub is still the fact.
Doesn't matter what your gender identity is, you have still committed a crime.
Yeah, you still committed a crime. Not only did you commit a crime, but like specifically targeted against supposedly your own community. That's even worse.
Yeah,
like
that's like a Jewish person leading people onto trains. Fucking
that's
Ben
like
Shapiro.
Nazi
that's
party.
like Ben Shapiro. That's like Ben Shapiro.
Literally Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this is it's funny because sorry, not funny. It was interesting, this tweet that I just fucking stumbled upon of J.K. Rowling going, happy Turfmas, right?
Yeah.
Which means that 100% this women's only service will be for women, as in what she considers women, like women, biological, like you have to be born a woman and you can't be trans, because then they're gonna be like, oh well, what if they try and abuse the service? It's like, no, because remember, they could have transitioned when they were younger if you had like done gender affirming stuff and then switched over. And what was so interesting, the Schadenfreude that I saw was the tweet was tweeted by a girl who was like, she was like, she had the fucking LGBT banner and she had the fucking like, all the emojis in every color. And I'll post this up later, right?
Yeah.
But this bitch goes, I hate December. I suffer from SAD. Am estranged from a very close family member, so the family type and making magic stuff just gets on my tits. That said, watching men get big mad because J.K. Rowling can and did fund a special service for only... Oh, excuse me. For only women is cheering me right up. And J.K. Rowling said, Merry Turfmas.
Yeah.
But you see, look at this dumb cunt tweeting with the LGBTQ flag.
like-
And remember, it's LGBT even before they added the Q and the plus.
Yeah.
So trans is included in that.
Yeah, it's
And
inherently a part of the movement.
it's a part of the movement. And she has all the inclusive garbage where it's like all the races are next to each other, the fists and all the hearts and the rainbow flag.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you're being exclusionary of someone that you supposedly
Support,
support.
And here's the thing that makes
Hypocrisy.
it worse. Like, they don't understand. Like, look, ContraPoints did such a good job of this. I don't think anyone will ever do such a good job of explaining how this works. But like, and these people say, oh, we can always tell. You can't always tell. Like, how many butch lesbians have been caught up in this like anti-trans hate? Like, butch lesbians, people that are cis, they're cis white, not cis white, but they're cis women that just look a bit like mannish, quote unquote.
Yeah, like tomboy or whatever,
type.
right?
Yeah, they will inherently get caught up in this because there's no way you can tell. Like, even before surgery, like, how many femboys do people fall for, quote unquote? Think that
fell for the femboy meme.
Yeah, fall for the femboy meme, where like they're like, they think that they're like actually a girl, and no, they're guys, and they identify as guys. They're not trans. They just like dressing up like girls sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like they can never tell. They're never going to be able to tell. So like cis people will also inherently get caught up in this just because they don't want to do that. It's like the only way to try to enforce this is to go back to like the thing that caused the Stonewall riots, like the thing that like gay people are famous, the thing that the Pride Parade is literally based like in support of. Because before, if you were a man, you couldn't have more than like 2 pieces of feminine clothing without getting sent to prison. And if you were a girl, you had to wear like a specific types of clothing, or else you'd get sent to prison.
And men wore dresses in the 16 through 1800s.
Yeah.
So what the fuck? They wore makeup. They wore wigs.
Yeah, literally. Fuck, you think that was fucking George Washington's actual hair? No, that was
Wasn't
not
his teeth either.
It wasn't his teeth either.
That's another podcast.
It was his slave teeth.
That's another podcast.
That's another podcast.
Sorry.
That's
And
something
then-
else. Yeah. Like the only way to enforce this type of stuff is to go back to like a 1960s, which these people would hate. You think the 1960s or the 1970s was kind to like you? No, it was not kind to you.
No.
You would get killed.
Straight up.
Like there's a reason why we moved past this. It's because it's not kind to you. It's not going to be kind to you. Like, this dumb bitch has a fucking pride flag, like, without knowing the history. Like, just by just spewing hate with the pride flag. Like, it's so fucking stupid. It's so it's so bad.
It really is. And it's funny because she says she has SAD, right? Seasonal affective disorder. A mood disorder characterized by depression that occurs at the same time every year, right? From the lack of light, which happens often in northern countries, right? But is it just me, or do I feel like she just fucking says that as an attention thing, you know? Like, I'm 99.99% sure it's self-diagnosed. You know when they go like, I'm self-diagnosed with autism, but I'm still right-wing, and they're like just doing dumb
they're
shit.
stupid. Yeah, like the nightclub owner or the nightclub shooter that was like, oh yeah, I'm non-binary, and then immediately like 3 weeks later just dropped it all.
Yeah.
Like admitted that it was like fake and shit.
Yep.
Like it's bullshit. It's bullshit. But the thing I do want to say is though, like, SAD, I don't think it's a clinical thing. I think it's just like, if you notice consistently over the years, like, oh, every year around this time, people tend to get sad because they're more isolated from people. It's cold out, you don't go out as much, you don't have as much human interaction, so you just get sad from the isolation.
Yeah.
That is one thing about SAD. It's not like a clinical thing. She's still a piece of shit though.
Yeah, billionaire, piece
Like,
of shit. And it goes basically hand in hand. It's
Yeah, it's just not to mention that like she's probably getting played. Like, she's like the person with the gay pride flag, she's either completely fake or she's getting played. Either way though, J.K. Rowling is not. Sean, the YouTuber, I forgot how to spell Sean. They pronounce it, they spell it the British way, you know.
Oh, well.
This is an anti-British podcast.
Yeah.
But they basically did a video explaining how J.K. Rowling isn't even a feminist either. Like, she doesn't care about actual women either, because she's actively funding and supporting right-wing media in Britain. She's an active fascist, and like is an active support of like Matt Walsh and other people who actively hate gay people. So if you're gay and you support J.K. Rowling, you are wrong.
Yeah,
Like, she
that's
actively
stupid.
hates you, and she's actively supporting policies and funding and basically doing like the whole dark money thing to fund politicians in Britain to actively make legislation against gay people.
And remember, this Christmas, or well, when her new Harry Potter game comes out, you better pirate the shit out of it.
Oh, yes.
I'm gonna pirate it. I'm not gonna pay her a fucking dime for anything ever again. You can pirate her books, pirate her movies, pirate anything that comes out with her. Pirate everything that's J.K. Rowling adjacent.
Or get it
because
secondhand
fuck her
too. Secondhand
dumbass.
doesn't go money to her.
Perfect. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes. Support your small businesses. Support the local businesses, local bookstores, not these fucking giants, Amazon and Borders. Oh, Borders is gone. Fucking Barnes and Noble. Support your local businesses by buying the books secondhand from them. Support them directly. Yeah, we'll see you next.
See you next week.
See you next week.
We're broke till Friday. Goodbye, my friends. We'll see you next week. Now I'ma go and beat my meat. And we're broke till Friday. Goodbye, my friends. We'll see you next week. And now I'ma go and beat my meat. And we're broke till Friday.